Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 6-9. We're not bending things on air tonight. Does anyone want to bend anything on air tonight? Bend all the things, phones, watches.
I could try to bend this Neptune Pine.
Let's bend the Neptune.
Actually, it's probably not possible. That thing is like made of premium materials.
It's not made of soft aluminum.
No.
Yeah. Welcome back. So episode 6-9. We got Moto X review to talk about, and Tim's thoughts as well, because he has one in house. 360 review to talk about. Nexus 9 news. We actually do have an iPhone in house. Look at this little thing. There's lots of stuff going on. So we missed last week due to a variety of deals. So we're back. Got some stuff. I'm trying to whip through it. And if you're watching live, apologies for the late start. Had connection issues. So let's start with, well, first of all, thanks for everyone last week participating in our massive Moto 360 giveaway. We gave away 5 of them, which was kind of fun. So 5 of you don't have to worry about trying to buy them online before they run out of stock. So enjoy those. Moto X, though. So second gen, I was looking for it, and I realized I don't have it anymore. Tim does. So Moto X second gen, official name there, reviewed it, and I'll just say that I really like the phone a lot. The camera is acceptable. You know, that was sort of the thing I think we were most worried about. Wait, I guess I should say the camera is good, acceptable in good light. In low light, it's pretty terrible. But my biggest gripe now is the battery life on it, and we'll see what Tim thinks in a second, but battery life on the phone wasn't awesome. I was getting anywhere from about 12 to 16 hours, which, you know, is enough to get you through a work day, but I mean, every night with that phone by 9, 10 o'clock when I was just chilling on my couch, I was out of juice. I had to switch to the G3 or find a charger or something, so that was a little unfortunate. Otherwise, I really like the phone. It feels amazing in hand. It's got that metal body. The leather is awesome. And while we don't know how that's going to age over time, especially like a 2-year contract, it looks and feels awesome right now. So then maybe the leather will get better. The display is fine. Obviously, the Moto suite of apps like display and voice and all that stuff got better. That stuff's awesome. So it hasn't gotten worse since last year's Moto X. It's only gotten better. So the phone overall, I would say, is way better than last year's. It just still has questionable battery like last year's. And then the camera, you know, you can argue that it sucks or it's good, but I thought it was good enough for daytime shots. I kind of mentioned in my review that I actually am not scared to post things to Instagram with it like I was with last year's Moto X. So yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts on the Moto X? You've had it for a few days now, half a week or so.
Yeah, so far my first kind of impressions were that the phone was really nice. Feels good in hand. It's still a good size, much like last year's. It's not, you know, too big in the hand, so it's still pretty good in terms of form. Function is also quite good. I'm hoping that, unlike last year's Moto X, where it kind of slowed down. I mean, say if you pick that phone up now and compare it to one of 2014's flagships like the G3 or the HTC One M8, the performance just isn't there, and of course the display is 720p. It's god awful. But this one, 1080p, the display is nice. The display size is good. Camera, you know, I'm big into Instagram and stuff. I've been having a lot of fun with it, so it works good on that front as well. Battery-wise, I'm not impressed whatsoever. I mean, not that I should be impressed. I should just be satisfied, and I'm not satisfied. Like you said, every night, you know, like around 8, 7 p.m., because I use my phone like quite a bit. I play probably a bit more games than you do every now and then.
For sure.
And it's just dying way too quick. So I take it off the charger around 7:45 a.m. and then by the nighttime, and I don't even go anywhere, dude. Like, I'm at home on Wi-Fi all day, and it's still dying. And for anyone who has to go out on a commute and use GPS and things like that, you're screwed. Like, maybe that's just this unit because you and me are sharing the same one, but I don't know. The battery's not very impressive at all. So, and that's kind of unfortunate. I know other people say, oh, battery life is great, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, just from our experience, so far it's not very good. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was gonna say we've had people think that our phone has something wrong with it or something. We factory reset that thing probably 3 times now. We're still getting the same stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with the phone. And I was the same with you. During my last few days, I used a lot of Wi-Fi, and the phone was still dying. And there's something going on there. It needs an update or something because that shouldn't happen. Even if 2,300 milliamp hour battery still.
Right. On Monday night, I did go out. I went out to a bar to do the trivia thing, but it got around to 20%. And all of a sudden, the phone got super hot, and it was like burning. And I was like, I thought the leather was gonna peel right off, and I was like, dude. And then five seconds later, it was dead. And I don't know what the deal is. I've seen that problem with like a lot of Moto X's though. Like you feel like their poor little gears inside are spinning so fast it doesn't even know what to do, and it just kills itself. So
it's not that surprising that the battery life isn't that much better, since the size of the battery didn't change that much, and last year's model didn't have specs went up, and last year's model didn't have great battery life either.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that has to do with whatever they named their little coprocessor or whatever that's listening in the background all the time.
Yeah.
Having that thing running all the time, like there's a reason why like Apple has theirs not running all the time. You have to be on a charger. Like having that constantly going has an effect on battery life. So there's actually a lot of stuff going on constantly with the Moto X. It's not surprising that when you got a smaller battery that it's not going to last as long.
Right.
It has a couple of new sensors, I think, like infrared sensors in addition to.
Those are always running.
Yeah. Who needs all that stuff? I mean, if it's going to make my battery perform crap, honestly, the one thing that I don't understand is the whole how it kind of senses when your hand is on top and it turns on active display. Like, active display already turns itself on all the time. I don't need to wave my hand on top of it to turn on for me. It doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of like I said, with mine sitting by my desk, like I'll end up tapping it every once in a while just to see if something came in while I wasn't looking. So being able to just wave over it instead of like rocking it on the desk, like I kind of like the idea behind that.
All you gotta do is like touch it, literally, and it'll just like wake up. You don't need to like.
Now you don't have to touch it.
Yeah, but
if it's going to drain the battery, then I don't want.
See, Tim, this is exactly the kind of innovation that you would normally be lauding, but because I brought it up, now you're crapping all over it.
No, I'm only crapping on the fact that it only has a 2,300 milliamp hour battery, and that's just not enough.
For this definitely phone. Because like everybody, I think across the board, like that liked the Moto X last year, said the battery could be better. So for them to upgrade the specs and add some things and not really increase the battery seems like a mistake on their part.
Yeah.
They
tried to improve it everywhere. I mean, they put a Sony camera sensor in there. They tried to improve it everywhere, but the battery just didn't get there.
Oh, you can tell they put a different Sony sensor in there. Like I was telling Kellen before the phone came out, I was like, it's a Moto sensor. They have like a whole warehouse of Motorola sensors that they just have to get through, but this actually takes pretty decent shots. So I was kind of, I mean, they're not great by any standard, but they're good, and so good on Moto for doing that.
Yeah. What do you think about the leather?
That's premium right there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Be good on my soft fingers. I like it. I like the feel of leather, and it goes really well with the Moto 360. And so I've been looking so fly, and so yeah, good on me.
Good on you. Yeah, I kind of missed the phone. I ordered a Pure Edition and pre-order because that's open now, and it still hasn't showed up or shipped. And I believe most people's are shipping and showing up, and so I don't know where mine's at. Motorola's killing me there. So yeah, I mean, Tim and I think both like the phone. I don't know that we would go as far. Like last year, we basically called it the phone of the year, at least from our site. I don't know that the new one's there. It's a good phone. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you buy the new Moto X. I just don't know that it's the phone of the year. Good phone.
At the same time, I don't think any manufacturer stepped up a lot this year. We saw pretty regular innovation and changes from people. There wasn't anything that stood out from any manufacturer, I think, for this year either.
I don't know. I'd say the J3 is still pretty stellar.
Yeah, well, I can say that about I can make a great argument for the S5, for the M8. Like, I can make those arguments for any of those devices. There's nothing that stands out in particular about one device that goes, oh, this was a huge differentiator that made a big difference compared to other phones. Like, the Moto X added a lot of things that other phones weren't doing yet. Nobody's really done anything that substantial this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they all got slightly better. I would kind of agree that nothing's like really. I would still say the G3 is probably the best phone right now that you can buy.
Yeah, I think everybody would kind of agree that's the out of all of them.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much of that is Samsung not changing their software a lot, HTC not changing their hardware body. Like, there's a lot of reasons why the main two, manufacturers that most people look to aren't as stellar this year. They didn't change a lot this year.
I guess you could. I think you may be making the argument wrong. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That a lot of the changes that LG made, for example, are just like spec sheet stuff and not really necessarily relevant to what people want, or because nobody needs a QHD display necessarily. It's an innovation, but no one needs it. Same with the laser autofocus. So yeah, in that way, I suppose it's a great phone, but yeah, those are not hugely differentiating because they're unnecessary technically.
Well, and at least, certainly the resolution, yeah, I would agree. That's just kind of, it's fluff. Like, okay, great, you're QHD, but nobody cares. Like, 720p is honestly fine. So,
733p.
Yeah, to be more specific, that's really fine. No, but I think like that was the difference with the Moto X. Is like when you look at where the Moto X was last year compared to where all the other flagships were, it added a lot of things that made the whole using the phone daily better. And so Motorola carried those on into this year, obviously, but they didn't really add much on top of that. In terms of how you use the phone daily, changing. They just continued doing that stuff, and that's what we saw from a lot of people. We saw Samsung throw out random things like a fingerprint scanner that I don't think anybody was using, and a heart rate monitor that, again, I don't think anybody's using. So, we've seen things like that, but nothing that's been like, oh, that makes me really, really want to tell my friends to get this phone over that phone.
Right, just kind of gimmicky stuff. That's what
versus the Moto X. Anybody that asked me about a phone, I was like, let me show you the Moto X. That might not be perfect for you. There might be a reason why you want to get a 1 or something else, but let me show you the Moto X for sure. And this year, there hasn't been a phone that makes me go, oh, you gotta check this out.
Yeah, it feels like kind of an off year for new Android flagships, and then not to jump into Apple stuff, but Apple did something completely different than they've done, right, for years. They released 2 new big phones, and everyone on Android just kind of released a new version of what they'd done the year before. LG did kind of step up, but everybody else kind of, just did something they had done previously. So kind of a weird year for Android. Let's see. So the Moto X is up for pre-order now. Moto Maker, you can buy the AT&T version on contract or full retail, or there is a Pure edition, which works on AT&T or T-Mobile. It's $4.99 off contract. And yeah, they're supposed to be Moto Makering right now, shipping hopefully by tomorrow or Friday, or arriving by then. Well, if you order now, obviously it's going to take longer. They are coming from China, those Moto Maker versions. It's not coming to Sprint, apparently ever. It's technically not coming to T-Mobile either. The T-Mobile version is just this Pure Edition version. Verizon version should be. I would imagine Verizon's will be available tonight at midnight Pacific. That's my guess. We were told 2 months ago that it was going to be available on the 25th, and I believe that still stands. I heard from somebody today that said expect it on the 25th. So if you want the Verizon version, you may be able to buy it on Verizon's site at midnight. And then I would imagine it'll go live in the middle of the day tomorrow on Motorola. So, it's out there. It's available if you want to order it. Any other thoughts on the Moto X before we move out of there? No. Good phone. I don't know if it's the phone of the year, but it's a good phone. You can't really go wrong with it unless you need battery that lasts forever, basically. Let's see. So Moto 360. So three of the 4 of us have Moto 360s, right? Yeah, I believe so. So Moto 360 reviews out as well, and I would say it's probably the best Android Wear device. I know that's not saying much, but it's my favorite of the 3 that are available now, and even the ones that are coming soon. Looks beautiful, especially the gray and silver version, at least in my opinion. The battery life's fine. It gets you through a day. I know there was a lot of early complaints about battery life dying in a couple of hours, and I'm sorry, but you were all using it wrong if that's the case, because it doesn't die in a couple of hours. It lasts all day. So it does have an older processor, and I posted up a video yesterday comparing the G Watch to the 360, and even with that older processor, both watches pretty much sucked with voice commands. I don't know if you guys all watched that. Android Wear basically is terrible, is what I've come to decide at this point, and it needs about 16 updates before it's actually stable and useful. But anyways, yeah, I like the 360. If I was buying a smartwatch, it would be the one I would buy. Hopefully Android Wear gets better soon. So, Kyle and Tim, do you guys want to share any Moto 360 thoughts? You guys have both had them for about as long as I have, I think, a couple of weeks.
Go ahead, Cal.
Sure. Yeah, basically what I said last podcast. Yeah, battery life is good. It's lasting me more than a full day, actually. Usually by the end of the day, I have at least 30% left, something like that. Of course, I don't use my watch much, which I think is, the intended behavior. You're just supposed to glance at it for notifications, use it for the occasional voice command, that sort of thing. Other than that, I totally agree with the review. I think the design is awesome. It really just does look like a premium watch when the screen is off, and I think this is indicative of that. I haven't had one person, ask me what this thing was on my wrist because they wouldn't think to know it's a smartwatch unless, something popped up on it. So that's sweet. Obviously, the round display is just stunning to look at, and even though I've had it for 2 weeks, I am still enamored with it. It's just really cool, and I've loved playing with, custom-made watch faces, mainly through Facer, the Facer app that's available on Google Play for $1, I think. I'm very pleased with it, and voice has actually been pretty accurate for me. I'd say it's much better on the Moto 360 than it was on the Gear Live. The Gear Live almost never got my commands right. Yeah, I think the noise canceling mic kind of helps on the 360. It seems to pick up a lot more of the words I say. But those are my thoughts, essentially. But can't think of anything else at the moment.
Tim, any new thoughts to share?
I'm totally over that device. I'm just kidding. I still enjoy it.
You're still wearing it every day. Well, you're at home. You don't necessarily need to wear a watch all day.
Right. Yeah. If I ever go outside, I think I went to the post office today and I wore it, so that was exciting. That was like the highlight of my week so far.
That was exciting.
But no, I do enjoy wearing it. As far as the functionality goes, does the act of taking the time to put the watch on kind of outweigh the notifications it gives me and all that? I don't know. I still love the look. I mean, my new thing has been just putting random faces on it, which is just like when live wallpapers came to Android back in like 2.1 or 2.2 or whatever. Like, it kind of gets boring. So other than that, I'm just going to use it as a watch. When I need a watch, I'll just take it out. But my same experience that you had in your video that you posted last night with the Moto 360 versus the G Watch, I had that today, and it was just acting slow and buggy and total frame rate drop, and it was kind of disgusting. And it's priced as such a premium product that you would really hope that Motorola didn't spend just so much time on the overall design, but also maybe doing some tweaks, with the processor or something in Android Wear itself. I mean, it's not that good. So
software sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron was right all along. We bought the device. We were completely blinded by its beauty and its sexiness, and blinded by the light, and so now we're left with a good-looking watch, but a poor timepiece, essentially, or a smart watch per se. So it's not very smart, like it doesn't really do anything that would make it smart. Its heart rate monitor's crap.
That is crap. I'll give you that. The heart rate monitor sucks.
Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed. Yes, and Ron just tweeted, Ron was right. Yes, so Ron was a little right, but I still love the look of it. I would still wear it out. I would wear it over any of my regular watches that I have, and I have plenty of those too. So because the Moto 360, it still gets the looks. Like, it's like, whoa, is that thing? What is that? And I'm like, it's the Moto 360. They're like, is that out yet? I'm like, yeah, you could try and find one.
Good luck buying it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I still feel kind of exclusive when I've got it on and people see it and stuff. I still feel good. You know, it's a good piece of hardware.
Yeah.
So other than that, yeah, software sucks.
Yeah, the software has a ways to go. Although there's an update that's slowly rolling out right now, and it might fix a bunch of that stuff. We don't know because none of us have received that update. Hopefully it fixes some stuff though. But like I miss it a little bit because I'm testing this thing right now, so I can't use my 360 at all, and so I kind of miss it a little bit because I was starting to use the voice dictation for sending messages and stuff a little bit because I was just becoming lazy and I didn't have to pull my phone out. It was actually kind of nice. So I actually was using quite a bit. I just haven't had a chance because of this iPhone situation that's going on. So I'm kind of ready to be done with the iPhone so I can go back and actually use that. We'll see. All right, so yeah, 360, still like it. Let's see. So there's new Nexus 9. So HTC Nexus 9. I can't remember if we did the show. I think we had a show right at. Did we do a show right after NVIDIA basically confirmed that they were partnering with HTC and all that? Was that mentioned on there the last time? It's been so long. So the HTC Nexus 9 is official because NVIDIA said so in legal documents, in case you guys didn't know. It's going to have a Tegra K1. And a couple reports came out at the beginning of this week that said, let's see, out of The Verge and Wall Street Journal, both said it's coming soon. And they partnered with HTC, you know, like all the stuff we already knew. None of them said exactly when it's coming, just soon. So we ran a poll that just said, is anyone interested? Because it doesn't seem like anyone really cares. I mean, it doesn't feel like it has that buzz around it that like a new Nexus 7 would or a Nexus 5 or something like that. But 66% of the people that voted all said yes. They're excited for the Nexus 9. I'm not. Are you guys excited about this tablet at all? Are we just over tablets now? Our phones are huge. They're like tablets anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't get excited about tablets anymore. Sorry if I'm interrupting you. But you kind of stalled out there for a second. But yeah, no, I don't get excited about tablets anymore.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Man, I thought I was talking the whole time by myself. Not only does a tablet not kind of interest me, but a tablet running stock Android does not really interest me. I think NVIDIA with the Shield tablet, so far that's the tablet that has like ever most impressed me. You know, it comes with a stylus. It's built for gaming. I use it as a game console. Like I've been playing PC games hooked up to my HD TV in the living room. Now that's impressive. Like, and you know, no Nexus tablet's going to come with that type of functionality unless somehow NVIDIA works that in with the Tegra K1 and they somehow get certification for the grid beta on there and all that, and Google okays it. That's not going to happen. So unless that happens, no, not interested. But cool. I like new Nexuses, so that's good. Nexus, whatever. Sorry, Cal.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, I just don't know how they're going to market this thing. I guess, obviously, as kind of
They're
a
not
launch.
going to.
Yeah, it'll get a secret, or, you know, it'll get a release without a press, you know, release or something, and it'll just be available on Google Play, or like they did last year. But I think it's kind of odd that the keyboard accessory for it leaked pretty early. So apparently that's going to be available on launch day, or I would assume at least, since it's been photographed, you know, passing certification in Korea or China maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Tegra is cool, but yeah, like Tim said, I mean, if you want a gaming tablet, there is another option that is probably much better. It doesn't make a lot of sense for a productivity tablet because I don't think either Android or iOS is good for productivity. I don't know. Yeah, I think I've kind of moved on as well. I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but I think at this point, Windows 8 tablets are a lot better option. They're a lot more versatile, in my opinion. But I don't know. I'm not excited, and I probably won't be buying it.
I just don't use tablets, so I have like zero opinion anymore on tablets. I keep trying. Like I have a Shield tablet too, and I've used it for like 5 minutes. Like I guess in my life, and it's been like this since the beginning. I've tried all these tablets. I mean, you guys have probably noticed we've sort of stopped reviewing tablets over the last couple of years because they're all the same. All the Android tablets are the same, and you say the same thing about them. It has a little bit better display, yay! And so, like, I guess the cool thing here is that HTC is teaming up with Google again to create a new Nexus, which is the first time since the Nexus 1. It should be like premium and metal and things like that. I'm still not really excited about it. Like, I don't care if it has a duo camera or anything like that. Maybe it'll have good speakers. I mean, the Nexus 10 had good speakers, so that's not even that unique. I don't know. I feel bad not being excited. It's like a Nexus tablet, right? I feel like we should be excited. I'm not at all. I don't know.
No.
Whatever.
There's no, like, if you look at Amazon's tablets, right? The only reason you'd be interested in that is if you're heavily invested in Amazon services and really want to have like a color screen instead of getting a Kindle, right? It's the only reason you'd be interested in them. The only reason you'd be interested in an Android tablet is if you don't already have a gigantic phone, which is no one with an Android phone, right? And if you're really heavily invested in like Google Books, which nobody's invested in Google Books. No. Nobody uses Google Books. And so you've got other media, but it's like I have a giant phone to watch that on, or a TV, or whatever else. Like there's so many
because I have a Chromecast now, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like, what's the point? There isn't a point. Like that's the and then even if you want to say, oh well, I'll get it with a keyboard or something. Great. You've got 3 productivity apps on Android that scale up that do anything reasonable for you to choose from. Go ahead and choose from one of those 3 apps that are going to be used. Like that's.
Exactly.
Oh, you want to have a stylus that works with that? Good luck. It doesn't exist. You want to have a drawing app so you can do some art? Doesn't exist. Like, because like it's a product without a market.
NVIDIA has a cool drawing app, but it's only available on the Shield.
Yeah, it turns out that they're going to only. Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's what happens when you don't have one company doing the whole vision all the way down, and when you don't, and if you don't have that, then that's what happens when you don't partner. Like if Google had decided, hey, we're going to partner with Amazon for media stuff, like they did early on. Then it might be a lot more appealing to say, hey, this has like Kindle instead of Google Books that nobody uses. Nobody was ever going to use Google. Please get rid of it. This has all the Amazon MP3 stuff that I bought since I had my first Android phone. Like all that stuff across the board. Like then it would have been more appealing, but because they've decided to fight instead, and everybody has to have their own content services and have their crap all over the place, like they're just like it just doesn't exist. Like if I'm going to buy a device, even if I'm ostensibly going to want to have a device made by Google for productivity, it makes more sense to get a Chromebook. And that's a sad reality, but like that's the truth. Like if you want to have something that's actually going to be somewhat productive in the same price range, you should probably just buy a Chromebook and be happy with that and use Google Docs in the browser because Google Docs sucks in the app because Google can't figure out how to write good software.
They made it look kind of like material design though, Ron.
Oh yeah, that's a huge improvement. Like that's the thing. Like that's the truth. If you want to have a tablet for anything, get the iPad or get a Windows 8 tablet that has this weird you've got desktop and Metro apps, and nobody's developing things for tablets for either one. So basically, get an iPad if you want to have tablets. What it comes down to, because like nobody else is doing it right.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that.
But I mean, with the larger iPhones, maybe those will start to bring out the iPad as well. So I mean, maybe tablets are just dead at this point.
Maybe
I think they have their use cases. I still like my iPad 3. I like using Paper on that a lot. Paper's a fantastic app. And certainly for like photographers and things like that, having a thin, light, larger device than a phone to show off your photographs, things like that, like there are definitely use cases for it, but I do think the market's going to shrink quite a bit.
I think everyone thought because Apple was selling a bunch of iPads that tablets were going to be the next thing, and they realized years ago that they weren't, and now everyone's still kind of invested in them and kind of keeps putting them out. And yet no one's buying them anymore, and it's just kind of a mess. Yeah. So it's weird.
Well, it's a wasted market because it's like if for Apple putting out the iPhone 6 Plus, like that's going to cannibalize on iPad sales, but that's great for them because that's people spending more money on products and more regularly, right? Because tablets you don't replace every 2 years, you replace every 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Versus everybody else, like there's not a lot of lock-in. Like if I buy a tablet from Samsung, I can easily get one from somebody else next year, and it's not going to matter.
Right. But that's another thing, too, is that when you buy a tablet, it's kind of like a computer. You don't need to upgrade it every single... It's not like your phone where you're like, I need a new phone now. Tablets, people don't seem to be doing that. People bought tablets early, and like if you still have a Nexus 7 2012, like there were some updates that came out that actually made it a fine tablet again. It still works. and that costs you $200. You don't even need to spend more money. Or if you have well, I shouldn't bring up Samsung tablets because they're all laggy, janky, terrible pieces of junk. But
you have a Nexus though.
Yeah, they did do a decent Nexus. So I don't know. It's nice that HTC and Google have teamed back up, but they're making a tablet, and I don't know that anyone really cares anymore. If they made a phone, I think we'd be really excited. If Google and HTC were getting together and getting rid of their capacitive touch buttons and putting on screen and doing all that stuff the right way, I think we'd be really excited. So, did we just lose Tim? Well, no, he's back. Maybe that's just me.
No, probably just you. Tim's. I don't know. Tim's doing Tim things.
Tim's going in and out.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so Nexus 9 is coming soon. We were actually told today that there might be up to 3 different Nexus devices, so keep an eye out for that. It's about all we can say. So, let's see. And Ron also mentioned Amazon. They announced about 15 or 16 tablets last week out of nowhere on like a Thursday night, and no one cared. They have like a high-end one and a bunch of low-end ones in different colors and like a kid's tablet, which is kind of the only cool one because it has a 2-year warranty, and like if your kid throws it off a bridge and it cracks, you can send it in and get a new one.
That's the only one you should care about. They have great kids features, which they've had since the original Fire, where like it'll turn off certain apps after a certain period of time, stuff like that. So if you want to get a tablet for your kid, get that. Other than that, ignore everything else unless you want a new Kindle.
Pretty much, yeah. But it was a weird thing. Like they announced it at
weird,
8 o'clock at night on like a Thursday. It was super odd. Let's see. So Android Silver, this was last week, I believe. Android Silver is apparently put on hold. Android Silver was the rumored program that was going to maybe even replace Nexus and go into carrier stores and be high-end and all this stuff. And when Nikesh Arora, right? When he left Google, he was apparently leading that Android Silver charge, and he's gone now, so everyone thinks Android Silver is basically dead. So Nexus is here, yay! Nexus here to stay. Let's see. So I'll make this brief, and I do have an iPhone, and we're going to review one. And I did a video earlier in the week, and I know a lot of people are freaking out. We're not going to bombard you with iPhone coverage. We basically just said this year, well, Tim and I have talked about this for a couple years. As iOS has been changing and sort of adding on all these features we love about Android, we've been talking about doing a review of an iPhone. And so this year, because Apple released 2 iPhones that are basically bigger phones that sort of mimic the idea that Android's been pushing for a while, and iOS 8 has all sorts of new features in it that really makes it closer to Android, we thought this would be the perfect time to finally review an iPhone. So we have an iPhone 6. We're not going to bombard you with coverage on it because we're still an Android site. But we want to talk about it a little bit. Why not know your competitors and all of the ins and outs and all that stuff? So initial impressions, though, I don't mind the phone. I mean, I don't hate this experience. I will admit that it's been frustrating at times, and I've asked Ron 1,000 questions about things to make sure I know what the hell's going on and I'm doing things correctly and I'm not just frustrated over nothing. But I get why people like iPhones. The camera on this phone is amazing. The display's really nice. The performance is really nice. There's no lag and jank and all that stuff that we talk about. I actually like the Touch ID sensor. I don't know, the battery life's amazing. It has an 1800 milliamp hour battery, or 1810 or something like that. And when I go to bed at night, there's 30% left. And the Moto X is dying on Tim and I at 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. So it's kind of crazy some of the stuff Apple's capable of doing. So anyways, we'll have a little bit more on this. I'll have a review probably in a week, and then we'll move on from it, and you guys don't have to worry about it. So fair enough.
You still have to worry about me, but you have to worry about
me. Yeah, Ron's not going anywhere.
No. Can't get rid of me.
And then Tim will actually probably test it for a while because he's itching to get all up and actually we were trying to get Tim an iPhone 6 Plus, and they either made 10 of them or they actually sold a lot. I wouldn't doubt it if people start returning them because they're going, these are too big.
They all got purchased by Unbox Therapy, who decided to bend them all so no one else could have them. So, kudos to him for getting all of them. Congratulations. You jerk.
The worst thing... Well, okay, so we've been haters of the drop test for a long time. I think it's the dumbest. If you're dropping phones, you're an idiot. Unless you're like a company that is selling warranties or phone replacement services. If you're doing it just to get views on YouTube, I'm sorry, you're a moron. And so now the new thing is the bend test, apparently. Apparently the bend test is a thing. So just understand, everyone, going forward, every single time a device comes out now, the YouTubers of the world are going to bend test them. That's the thing. So not only are we going to get drop tests from idiots, we're going to get bend tests as well.
And hammer tests. Don't forget the hammer.
Yeah, but see, like, those ones are fun. Like, because they're just dumb.
Especially when the battery explodes.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when the guy like, shoots them with, like, a high-caliber rifle and stuff like that. Stuff's, like, fun. But now we're like, this is science. We're bending a phone.
Yeah. And the gun tests are real. Do you guys remember back when somebody had, like, what was it, like either a Droid Incredible or an Eva or something? Like, somebody got shot?
Yeah.
Or, like, it stopped the bullet? Remember?
Yes. So we do care about...
That's a real test.
Yes, the gun test is real.
Especially now they have a giant phone. That's a lot more protection, you know?
I
Sure,
just,
it can come back, is what I'm saying.
I just feel like humanity dropped a few notches in the last day. It's a bend test video. Now we're just bending everything.
We're all bending it like Beckham.
We're taking requests for bending things. It's just, come on, just stop. This is not a test.
This
Of
is
course, it's a thin phone, and it's made of aluminum. What do you expect, right?
Right. I mean, like, look, don't get me wrong. The phone probably shouldn't bend, but at the same time, most people are never going to go, with their phone, like, to see if it bends. It's just, you're never going to put that kind of pressure on it. It's just so stupid. I'm sorry. It's been bothering me all day. Tim knows. Driving me insane. What else is going on? Ben tested out. The Droid Turbo is apparently coming next month. I don't know if that's true or not. I actually heard November, but could come next month. And let's see. Sorry, we saw the back panel. That's right. Sorry,
Kevlar
I'm
again.
flustered by the bend test. Yeah, so it looks like that Kevlar sort of patterned backside. It looks huge and bubbly and round. And then it has this weird, like, crevice at the bottom where the charging port is. Oh, it's kind of odd. But it's going to have a massive battery and probably last, like, 3 days. So, yeah, if you like droids, it'll probably be the new droid to have. It's actually tempting just because of the battery life. Like, when you play with the Moto X and it dies at 7 p.m., you kind of go, I could handle a Max. I could handle the Droid Turbo. And then, and then
you handle how ugly it is now?
Then you see the pictures of it and you go, okay. Just give me a charger. Just give me one of those turbochargers.
Give me one of those turbochargers is going to destroy my battery in a month.
Hey, it's Qualcomm's technology, and they think it's awesome. Except
it's their technology.
No one's adopted. Actually, the HTC One M8 has Quick Charge 2.0 built in, but no one's released a charger to take advantage of it. So
because they're afraid.
Yeah. So if I ordered like 10 of these turbochargers, and they won't ship, even though they were supposed to be here like a week ago. And so once they show up, I'll test it on the HTC One M8 because it's supposed to work on there, which is kind of interesting that a Motorola charger might be the first to work with the HTC's phone. So, so Turbo next week, or not next week, next month. Let's see, the Galaxy Alpha. You guys remember that? This was, according to certain sites that love Apple, this is the iPhone killer, even though no one ever called the Galaxy Alpha an iPhone killer. Just because it was made of metal, apparently became an iPhone killer. It's coming to AT&T for $199 on contract, which is weird because everyone thinks that that's overpriced. But when you look at the specs, it's actually similar to the iPhone, which also starts at $199. But like with Android phones, we sort of go 720p display, tiny little phone. That's a mid-range device right there. So I just think that's odd how that works. What else? Tim was at Qualcomm's Uplink conference last week where they announced they have shipped over 1 billion Snapdragon Android phones. That's a lot of phones.
It's a lot of phones. I was going to say you would have never known that I was gone, considering no news came from that conference.
That was the one story that came out of it.
Yeah, but it was a great time. Qualcomm people are fantastic. They're just a really smart bunch. And I got to spend time with the Gear VR finally. I got to put that on, play with the Note 4 a little bit more, and boy, so boring and so useless is my stance on the Gear VR. from the 10 minutes I played with it. So hopefully I never have to do that again.
Oh, you will. You're gonna have to review it.
Yeah, I thought so. I was just
The Gear VR. I have zero interest in that. I know I don't really play a lot of video games, but I get the feeling that most people that play video games don't care either. And you said you put it on and you just went. Did they have a game loaded up, or was it just demo things?
They had a driving game, except it was it's kind of like a over-the-shoulder, like third-person driving game where you are drifting a car around a track and you can like turn your head, except half of the time the car is flying off into the distance and you can't even control it because that Samsung controller is the biggest piece. Like that thing sucks.
I forgot that they had that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what a terrible little controller. So that alone, having a controller, they spent no time on the controller, and that's just too bad because that would really make me. That's a make or break type of deal. Like I don't mind playing the Shield tablet with the Shield controller because the Shield controller feels like a high grade console quality controller. This thing, I'm just gonna get really frustrated after 15 minutes because I can't even tell when your fingers are on the joysticks what direction you're going with them. So
now, can you use third-party controllers though?
They haven't specified any of that yet.
It's Samsung, so probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know why like just pairing a Bluetooth PS4 controller would be an issue, because you're just pairing it to the phone, right? So
because they probably have some like terrible VR software that has to pair with a Samsung controller or something garbage like that.
Yeah, we just don't know how the relationship between the special VR games from Samsung apps will work with third-party controllers yet. We just don't know.
Yeah, that's going to have very limited appeal, even for people who are interested in VR, because it only works with the
Note 4. Exactly. Who cares? Yeah.
That's an incredibly niche market. It's already a niche market to begin with, but now it's even smaller. So
yeah, Samsung has a tendency to be really good at that, though. So
I was just going to say, it drives me nuts. Yeah, it drives me nuts that Samsung, everything they release now is just stuck with Galaxy phones. Like all their watches, and this thing probably will be just annoying. What if I want to try their curved AMOLED Gear S thing without a phone attached to it? I can't.
How dare you?
How dare I? I don't want to try it, by the way. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, Samsung. They got a problem with that Gear VR. But sorry, we got away from Qualcomm. But again, Gear VR, I heard somewhere that it's going to cost around $200. So.
And it's basically just a headset that houses a Note 4. I mean, like you put your Note 4 in, and then you strap it on, and it costs $200.
That's it.
Might as well get cardboard. Right.
Yeah, you might as well get cardboard and wear a headset.
Except you'd have to have a sweet rubber band though.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Well,
that's our next business venture, yeah.
Yeah, if we could fashion a rubber band to our heads, then we could just completely wipe Gear VR from the market.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think Gear VR looks that much better, so.
Probably not.
It really didn't. It didn't even look that cool, man. Like, I didn't feel like I was in a 3D world. I was not immersed. So it sucked.
Yeah, that's too bad. Sorry. Well, that should be a fun review.
I'll have a blast.
That'll take about a day, yeah. Let's see. We talked about Amazon and their bajillion tablets. Verizon's VoLTE is live. You probably didn't know that because they haven't really made a big deal out of it, and it only works right now with the Galaxy S5 and the LG G2, not even the G3. And it's coming to the Moto X, I think, soon, but yeah. It's kind of weird how everyone, like T-Mobile's running around going, we got VoLTE everywhere. They've updated six phones, I think, already. And Verizon said they made a big deal how they were going to launch it nationwide all at the same time. And then they did that, except no one can use it because you have to have only those two phones. It's just stupid. And they created some really terrible app called Advanced Calling 1.0 that's completely invasive. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. At least they got out ahead of AT&T. It's not really a huge priority for them, you can tell.
No,
I think COO even said that in a conference recently. He said, like, our network is so reliable, we don't need to be LTE.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things, right? HD voice. No one calls anyone anymore, so it's one of those technologies that I don't know that we really need anymore anyway. And the other part of VoLTE is video calling. but everyone can already video call with Hangouts or whatever other 1,000 apps that are out there that do it. So it's one of those technologies that all these carriers bragged about years ago when LTE first started, and then it took them too long to get there that it doesn't really matter anymore. And it's like free. If you have these phones, you could just update and you can use all these services for free, but I don't know. No one calls anyone, so it's not that big a deal. What else is out? We haven't really talked about the Note 4. Pre-orders open for the Note 4 on a couple of carriers, 3 of them, I believe. T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon right now. AT&T, if you buy it off contract, wants $825, which is insane.
That's like $1 a pixel.
It's crazy. Verizon still wants $699, which they've wanted for every Note phone, and AT&T for some reason wants $125 more. Makes sense. And those come out in October. There's like rumors out there that Samsung's pushing the launch up because of the iPhones and all that stuff. Didn't Samsung's stocks take a massive dive today or something like that because everyone's blaming it on Apple's success, supposed success? I don't know. What else do you guys want to talk about? Apps and games?
Yeah, we can talk apps and games.
Tim, Ron, you got an app or a game you want to talk about?
Yeah, we wrote it up on the site, but Marvel/Disney/whoever is now in control of Marvel released a new Spider-Man game called Spider-Man Unlimited. So it's free on the Play Store, and you can, with in-app purchases, you can upgrade. So it's a runner like Temple Run and a billion other ones. Sonic had one. There's a whole bunch of them. So, but it's one of those. And so there's a plot, but it doesn't really matter that much. So basically, you go into the game, and the nice part about it is you can unlock different Spider-Man suits. So they've got a whole bunch of them on there. So it's the game I've been playing a lot lately. It kind of took over for Skyforce that I was playing for a long, long time. So if you want something to play, it's not. So you have to have tokens to do a run, and those refresh after 10 minutes. So it's not something you just play unless you want to spend some money. But it's definitely fun and definitely worth taking a look at. So especially since there hasn't been a Spider-Man game in like 4 years. So at least a good one.
Fun.
This won't be it, Ron. I don't think.
Isn't it? No. But it's a good time waster. So and it's cool to see him like. You can still web sling and stuff like that. So I mean, it's fun. You kind of feel like Spider-Man.
I want like a first-person shooter type Spider-Man. Now that would be sweet. Yeah, that would be sweet. I'd pay for that. You can like swing through the skyscrapers and stuff. That could be really cool. I know that might take a lot of development, but so worth it.
Has no one's ever made a game like that for Spider-Man?
Oh, I'm pretty sure there's something like it on the PS2 or something. I don't know.
And I want controllers that you can strap onto your wrists and actually go like that.
You want wrist controllers and you want Samsung VR.
Yeah, that would be that's $1 trillion idea right there. We passed million and billion. That's $1 trillion.
Everybody's gonna buy it.
Everyone.
Yeah. The game I want to talk about is Goat Simulator. It's new to Google Play. It was a PC game. It was available. It is currently available through Steam, but it is now available on your Android device. Oh boy, it's a weird game. You play
Goat Simulator.
Yeah, everyone wants to be an animal, like a goat or a squirrel these days. So you play as a really pissed off goat. For some reason, he wants to wreak havoc on the world in which he lives in with his super stretchy tongue. He gets it stuck in things and he goes flying around. There's jetpacks, cars, explosions. It's kind of like an open world essentially, and every type of the developer states in the description that any bugs you find we're leaving in because they're funny and blah blah blah. It's just one of those games that was made for fun. People have really enjoyed it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you could YouTube Goat Simulator and you'll find a bajillion videos of people just, having fun with goats, and that sounds terrible. But, yeah, Goat Simulator, definitely check it out. I believe it costs $4.99 on Google Play, which might seem a little high, but it was developed quite well, so sometimes you gotta skip that morning latte and get a game and support developers instead. I would do both, but I suggest you do one or the other.
And never skipping the latte.
I can't skip the coffee.
I don't have any apps or games. All of my stuff's on iPhone right now.
What are you talking about? You should have one new game in your life, Kellen.
Oh yeah, I have Tiny Wings. Actually,
yeah. We did it.
And I played it for like 20 seconds and was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So then I was playing The Amazing Brick, which is just like the dumbest, almost. What was that stupid game that the Flappy Birds guy made? The helicopter game.
Dong.
Yeah. So The Amazing Brick's like the dumbed down version of that, where you're just a brick jumping straight up in the air trying to avoid obstacles. It's so dumb. Playing that. So,
why are you playing that?
I don't know. It was on like so I could probably go off on this for an hour. The iPhone or the App Store, Apple's App Store is terrible, by the way. So you can go through all these like top lists and you can see what people have been searching for, and like none of it makes any sense. Like for example, today I searched for best Twitter app. And the first one was Tweetbot. That came up right at the top.
That's the best Twitter app.
People like Tweetbot. The second one was like Instagram. That was the second listing. And then it was like another photo sharing app. And the only Twitter app that showed up when I typed in best Twitter app was Tweetbot. Like, aren't there probably 1,000 Twitter apps on iOS? And that's the only one that showed up.
But search has always been terrible. The top lists are always bad because they're easy to scam. Like,
so you admit something is wrong. Finally, I caught you, snake in the grass.
So that's one of those things. You hear everyone talk about how the App Store has the greatest app selection ever, and it has so many better apps than Android.
It does. You just can't find them.
Ecosystem.
So that's the thing. Like, I can't even find. I keep going like, there's all these cool apps. I want to find something really fun that it's not an Android, and you can't. Like, they're not.
The easy way to do it is to. Yeah, you gotta follow Apple sites. The featured page is usually pretty good. That gets refreshed on Thursdays, and then otherwise just ask people that have been on there for longer than you have. So.
See, that sucks though. Like, what if I'm just bored one day and I want to find a new cool app? Like, you can't do that on the App Store.
They need to revamp Discover right now because like having top lists, it's dumb because they're so easy to scam. So.
Well, right now it's just keyboards because
there's
like 15 keyboards.
Yeah, it's keyboard. Or the first when the iPhone 6 launched for a good few days, it was all of Apple's apps because they were getting downloaded for free by people. So those were the top free apps because they're
right.
So it's like it's a weird system that they need to fix. And it's a hard problem. Like we've seen it on every app store on every platform.
Yeah, it's clearly just it's a trending algorithm they have that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for
the best
an
way to do
store.
Right, the best way to do it is to have curated stuff, and that requires manpower. So they do it on Thursdays, and that's where to look out for stuff. And they have their own like categories for like best games and things like that. That's the place to go. Don't do a search. Definitely don't put a sentence into search. Don't put past anything.
I know, but like when you search, like if I went on Google Play right now and typed in best Twitter app, it would probably bring up all sorts of sweet.
Let's do this experiment live. Let's see what happens.
Best Twitter app.
While they're doing that, I would just like to point out to everyone, if Kellen would just give 5 minutes of his life to Tiny Wings, he would find out that it is the greatest game on iOS ever.
I mean, look, so
you got Twitter.
There's so many Twitter apps on there.
Yeah, but you're doing a search on Google Play. Google is a search engine. That's
okay, I know, but Apple's supposed to be big time here. They can't even figure out how to do a simple search for best Twitter. That's insane.
They don't have time for that. They're selling 10 million iPhones.
And also, when I searched just Twitter, the only Twitter app that came up was the official Twitter app. So you were talking about Tweetbot, I think, earlier, and I'm assuming, use other Twitter apps. You can't find them. It's like they don't exist. What a terrible app store. Also, when you click search in the App Store, I could go on about this stuff. When you click on the search button, it should automatically put a cursor in the search box and let you type. But it doesn't. You click search, and then you have to like reach all the way up and tap.
It starts out with suggestions now, which is actually better. It used to just be completely blank. Now it's got at least some suggestions.
I know, but I'm saying when I go to a search page, it's because I want to type something. Like if they want to do suggestions, there should be like a suggestion section, not on the search page. It just makes no sense. I'm nitpicking, but it makes no sense.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, it's not good. So you just gotta ask a friend.
Oh, I'll have more questions. So
And try and compare it to like when I was using Windows Phone. You do a search for Twitter. Good luck finding any Twitter applications. Like it might be better now, but when like through 8, like it was terrible.
Does Windows Phone still exist? That's what I want to know. Like,
yeah, I've got one right here that still does not have 8.1. Thanks, Sprint. Or Samsung, whoever's fault it is.
Whoever.
Microsoft.
It's everyone's fault.
Nokia.
Probably
I don't know.
Microsoft's fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what else to talk about. I know we got a late start, but I feel like the show is really short. Anything else you guys want to talk about? It seems like there's a bunch of stuff going on. I mean, I could rant about iPhone stuff for a long time, but that's not really what we're about, is it? According to the comments.
Yeah, apparently not.
According to the comments.
Yeah. What the hell is this? Flip desk.
Yes, there were some people that were upset, but we've constantly had comments from people saying we'd love to hear what you guys.
Yeah, there was also some great comments, and the way I saw it was that people would be more interested in the 6 Plus just because it's so large. You know, Apple's never done something like that before. So I was really curious. I finally got my hands on one thanks to a friend, and you know, it's actually not that big. If you were coming from the 5 or the 5S,
it's huge.
No,
it's bigger than the Note.
If you were coming from a 5S, you know, from 4 inches, I could see how it would be, you know, quite large, but it reminded me a lot of a Note 3, you know, or a Note 4. Note 4 is a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, if you're used to those size devices, it's not giant. But like when I had my wife take a look at it, she's coming from her iPhone 4S, so 3.5-inch screen to like big jump. Big jump.
Yeah, and it does feel quite large, but giggity. But yeah, the 6 Plus, man. I just wanted to see Tiny Wings. You know, that's what I wanted.
You wanted to split screen Tiny Wings?
Yeah, now I just need Kellen to pump out that 6 review so I can get a crack at it. Because I really just want to go out and take some pictures with it. I know the cameras on the iOS devices I've just been so jelly of for the longest time, so I just want to take some pictures.
The cameras. I wish I could take the camera and put it in an Android phone.
Yeah.
I wish the design, I don't want to keep talking about this, but the design's it's too slippery. You remember how we complained about the 1M8 being slippery with all that metal? This phone feels that way, I think, too.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
I think somebody at like The Verge or something said they dropped their 6 Plus on their face because it was too slippery, and I could see that happening. Like, I've dropped this phone in my bed or on the couch or something a lot because it's so slippery.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say this is the first one that is probably better for most people in a case.
Yeah, you probably do need a case. I was actually asking Tim about iPhone cases at some point because I said I needed one, and he says, like, what do you mean? You can't put a case on that thing.
I'm the worst person to ask about cases, man.
Yeah. Well, you have all these iPhone or Apple connections. I figured they had like a secret Apple case society or something.
My one friend who actually uses a case for his iPhone, he changes like the maker of case at least twice a week. So
because there's just so many.
Yeah, there's so many. He just has so many options. He's always going from like red to black, or it's so many colors. And he's like, I like this one. Oh no, this is my favorite. Like, so I can never trust him. He's like obsessive compulsive when it comes to buying iPhone cases. Yeah. So
it is hard because there are so like instead of like versus like going on a like if you have like a flagship Android phone, that's one thing. But like Moto X, like good luck. You might find a couple cases, but like you're not gonna. And certainly not going to be able to try it in a store. No. You're not going to be able to look at it. You got to order that crap online.
Oh, yeah.
Unless
hope that it works.
Unless you have a Galaxy S4 or Galaxy S5, it's pretty hard to find a case for your device. If you go to a mall, one of those kiosks, you're going to have like 2 options.
Yeah.
iPhone 3GS, they've still got 100 different cases you can choose from.
Yeah. I love the mall case kiosks. They're my favorite thing. There's always people just packed around those things.
Packed.
Yeah, always packed. Everyone. Apparently, that's a big deal. Like you said, that guy hot swaps cases throughout the day. Apparently, everyone does that because that's
going to his local kiosk, man.
Pretty much.
He knows a guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I think we just need to talk about kiosks some more.
Yeah. I do like kiosks. I think we'll be back next week. Tim, are you in town next week? I'm asking you this on the air.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Sweet. Well, I don't have anything else then. We can just have
now. Oh, yeah, I got 2 things. Now Paper got an update. Shout out to Jackson, developer of Now Paper. Got a really good update, so if you like those Google Now wallpapers, I highly recommend, Kellen, you can because you're rocking an iPhone. Sorry, not sorry. And then also, come on, Giants. Like, we need to win this game tonight. We got to beat LA. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, HTC's Re-camera, the GoPro thing, that's like leaked all over the place. We found images on their
It was a really
actual
sorry.
site.
Yeah, it was a really bad idea to launch the site but not actually have anything. Like, people could just rip that stuff apart.
Did you see the pictures now, though? The
Yeah.
official pictures?
Yeah, it looks like a PVC joint pipe or whatever.
It does. It looks like it's coming out of a submarine.
Yeah. Ringo Starr designed it.
It's so great, yeah. I can't believe HTC is making this thing. And like they're having a press event for this thing. On
Good
the
luck.
break.
Yeah. This and maybe a phone, right? Was gonna play.
I don't think we're
Selfie
getting a phone. I mean, we could get a phone, but I kind of don't think so. I think this is it. We're getting the Re camera. What a name.
I mean, we've had, at least it's not like the Re-camera Z or something.
That's true.
That'd be a Sony.
That's coming next year. The Re camera Z8 in
Re-camera
parentheses. Yeah. All right. Well, I've got nothing else.
Hope you guys have a fantastic night.
Yeah, fantastic evening. We should be back next week, assuming we don't have any technicals. We try to make it weeks in a row, and we haven't done it 2 weeks in a row in a while.
Oh, of course, you just fade out, right? As you're saying technical difficulties.
Did I really say that? Oh, yeah, I can see
Google.
everyone's
They
now.
try to censor you, man. They don't. Yeah. Cut them off. Cut them off. Google works just fine.
Wow.
Or handlers or sending a message.
Yeah, everything on my screen now is just like flashing black and pixels.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
You're
Okay.
just having a rave
We'll
over there.
just shut it off. All right, well, thanks for joining us. This is episode 69, DL Show. We're out. Peace. Bye, Ron.
Bye, Kellen.
Bye, Cal.
Yeah.
Snake.